All right, we're here, Cody. We got a very exciting episode today because oh man, you can actually hear my voice being all fucked up from the bachelor party.
A little bit, yeah.
This is super weird because I didn't notice it today, but now that I'm in the mic, I can actually kind of hear it.
You can't be as
raspy.
You can't be as loud.
I know. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I could always be loud. I went to a little bachelor party this weekend down in New Orleans, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it looks fun.
I don't want to dive too deep into that because we got exciting stuff to talk about today, but it was very fun. If you've ever been to New Orleans, you know it's got more culture than any city I've ever been to in my entire life.
You guys went to an LSU game and a Saints game?
We specifically went to an Alabama LSU game and then went to a Saints Falcons game. So both like divisional games, like biggest games you could possibly have there. And LSU Mayo planned his whole bachelor party around that game, and they got mollywopped.
Yeah.
42-6.
It was not
or something.
good.
So
not good.
So the only story I want to tell from the bachelor party, other than just that New Orleans is awesome, highly recommend going there if you haven't been. Definitely would be a tough place to live. It is just wild.
I mean, in that spot particularly, yeah, I would never want to live there.
Yeah.
It's a touristy spot.
Yeah, it's the whole damn city, man. It's crazy. It's just so live and active. But man, it's got culture and the
I'll
people
go
there
eventually.
are awesome.
I want to go.
But the one story I want to tell, if you don't watch too much football, especially college football, the one thing about Alabama is they have this thing called Roll Tide. That's basically just what they say to each other, just saying like, go Alabama. That's what it is. I did not want to buy LSU gear for one game that I was going to be down there and never wear LSU gear again in my life. So I wore a Washington State University jersey, which is where I went to college at. And I'm a big WSU fan. I was like, you know what? We're going to a college game. I'll rep WSU down here in the dirty, dirty South. It turns out, as soon as I step off the party bus that we take there from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, I knew this, but my mind just didn't connect it when I was there. But a WSU jersey looks exactly the same as an Alabama jersey. There's no WSU logo on there. There's a tiny little one on the chest that you can see, but my glasses are basically covering it the whole time. And you probably wouldn't see it anyways. So as soon as I get off the bus, people just start going, "Roll Tide" to me, baby. And I was like, oh, shit. So one of the main
This
themes
would happen to you is to bring that, and it goes completely. I mean, it makes sense. But
it turned out amazing.
Yeah.
So what happens is that people are walking by me when I get off the bus, and maybe for like the next hour, and they're just like coming by me, giving me the fist bumps, saying like "Roll Tide," and I'm like, oh shit. And then a couple beers start happening, and they start saying "Roll Tide," and I start saying "Roll Tide back, baby, come on now." couple more beers, then I start walking up to people and yelling and running up to them, being like, "Roll Tide, baby, come on, Roll Tide!" before the game even starts. And they're like, "Roll Tide!" I'm like, oh, let's go. So we coined the phrase "Roll Tide Read" while I was down there because I slowly morphed into that the more beers got into me. And lo and behold, we end up getting into the game, and Alabama just decimates LSU.
Yeah.
Like on another level. We didn't even get to see a home team touchdown.
Yep.
Not one. It was rough. And I just kept looking over to Mayo because I was sitting next to him in the stands. I just kept saying, "The tide is rolling in, Mayo. It's rolling in." And I was making friends with these other Alabama fans that were sitting next to us, and like they had this one little symbol. I don't know what it was. They were putting if you're not watching the video, they like put up their pointer finger and middle finger and their thumb, just those fingers up, and they held them up to me when they said "Roll Tide."
Like a German 3.
I don't know what it was. Yeah, it was weird, and they just held it up to me, and I just held my fingers back to them, and they were just like "Roll Tide, baby," and I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm locked into this right now, and it was a good time.
Nice.
So the game was super fun. Superdome, it's really cool, super cool to see, but I was smoked. I was just too hungover. I was falling asleep at the game.
Yeah.
But that game was awesome. And then we made it. Then I made it back at midnight last night. So just yesterday, basically. But it was dope.
Nice.
So I highly recommend. Great bachelor party, but man, dude, these things are starting to wear on me. Going to there's 17 dudes, and the place that we stayed in was an absolute frat house. It was ridiculous.
Oh.
Yeah, there were 5 or 6 queen beds in one like living space, and then Mayo and I slept in like the master, I guess.
How did you sneak in the master?
I was like the last one to get there, and May was like, "Someone's got to bunk with me." There was like 4 of us. It's like I'm doing that.
All right, there you go.
So I was just left
Nice.
with the bachelor in there.
Dude, I would have done the same. If that was
Yeah.
an available option, I'd be like, I'm doing it.
2 bathrooms, 17 dudes.
2 bathrooms?
Dude, and they just had to come up.
Ooh.
They had to keep coming and blowing up our shitter because there's only 2 toilets. There's one public one for like the whole house, and then like the master one. So they just had to keep coming and
Dang.
blowing up. It was gnarly.
Was it like an Airbnb still?
It was an Airbnb. Yeah, it was a Nolan's house. It was. So it's like really long. It's really weird. All houses in New Orleans they have really small fronts, and they're very long.
Yeah, they go like
Almost like a mobile home,
Yeah.
but they're like houses. So
it's like how San
bigger.
Francisco is, where they're so packed in,
Yeah.
but everything's long. if
But
you
they're
keep
small.
going.
But they're smaller than the San Francisco houses. So yeah, just imagine like a manufactured home, but longer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a ratchet house that we were staying in. The shower wouldn't stay cold or hot; it would just fluctuate the whole time you were in there. But dude, it was a good time. It
Man.
brought me back to the frat days. And yeah, there was not a lot of sleep going on. Everybody got just absolutely, just not even hammered necessarily. I mean, that obviously happened, but just like exhausted.
Yeah.
Just days of no sleep. Matt went one night
yeah.
without sleeping at all.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
He couldn't. He just couldn't help himself. He had to stay up and be the last one up.
Yeah, and then that harmed him the next day when, oh my God, there's so many stories from it, but we're not going to go too deep into that.
This is true. I feel you though. I'll hear those stories very soon.
You will hear them. And
You guys just got back, so like this is the first
Yeah.
time I've even seen someone who went.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll get it in your
one of the people that got their ass beat by New Orleans.
Yeah, 17 dudes. Yeah, but the
17.
2 bathroom scenario, I would have looked in there and been like, oh, we're so cooked. This is so bad.
We managed it somehow. It wasn't
you'll
too bad.
You
Yeah.
figure it out. It's just always the worst part is. I don't know. That's why you get so pissed drunk usually too. It's like anytime I'm doing one of those things, a bachelor party or an event with just a bunch of dudes cooped up together, you get drunk because it makes all the shit easier.
Yes,
like
it does.
Sleeping's easier. Having to shit where everyone else is shitting like 10 times over makes it easier. Everything is just like,
disgusting.
all right, fine. I'll do it. It's okay.
Just got to get absorbed into how disgusting it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Because that's even Tanner's bachelor. Whoa, there it is. Nice little mic.
I'd have to switch that next time.
I mean, honestly, at Tanner's bachelor party, it was like that first night I had to make an effort to say, I have to stay up. Like I need to push myself so I don't like tomorrow end up making it feel easy to go to sleep again. And then I just do the same thing again. And so I had to make an effort to be like, just stay up and pace yourself. You have to pace yourself when I'm drinking like this. So
it was a very successful bachelor party too, because Tanner's bachelor party, I mean, I wasn't there, but it's nice because you guys stayed on a houseboat the whole time.
pretty much.
Right. This was 17 dudes walking around the city of New Orleans and then taking a party bus to Baton Rouge and like keeping track of everybody. Like even just at Matt's bachelor party where we went to that place in Coeur d'Alene, and then we all went downtown Coeur d'Alene and we still left David in the park.
Left someone
Like he missed the
sleeping
boat.
overnight on the beach, basically.
For context for people, we stayed at an Airbnb on Coeur d'Alene Lake here where we live at. It's near us, but basically where we live at. And it was a boat-in only Airbnb. And we got like everybody in by like 3 a.m. and like tried multiple times to send in the group chat, saying, hey, we're going back. Everybody get here, blah, blah, blah. And one of them did not make it, and he slept in the park of downtown Coeur d'Alene.
We just got like the message at like 6 or 7 a.m. from him, like, where is everyone? I'm on the beach. And we were like, so whoever
you know where we're at.
Someone woke up first and was like, dude, he's not here. He's asleep. He's literally still on shore. We left him. And it's like, well, he clearly wasn't in that much trouble because we didn't
leave him. Apparently
true.
we tried to contact him, but he was just gone.
It was a scenario of everyone was hammered.
Yeah.
We did whoever was boating, I think it was
Ronan.
Was it Ronan?
Yeah.
Who at least was, coherent.
Yeah.
He and everyone else who was like a part of like getting people on. It's like, I remember there being multiple call outs. Like the boats are here. We are going. We're going to come back again because we can't fit everyone. So be ready when we come back kind of thing. Like there were call outs.
Yeah.
But it happens.
So even on that, where it's just us going from that Airbnb in Coeur d'Alene to downtown Coeur d'Alene, just the little boat trip. It's a little hard to coordinate with the boat, but we still ended up losing somebody.
Yeah.
We didn't lose somebody. We didn't lose something. Nothing happened.
Really?
And we traveled all of downtown New Orleans.
Nice.
We traveled from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, which is basically like a drive from, for anybody that knows, which I think everybody here that watched the podcast is probably from this area at this point. But it's like a drive from Spokane to Pullman.
that's not bad.
Yeah. So I think it was a little bit longer. I think it was 2 hours from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. And we took a party bus in there. Didn't leave anybody in Baton Rouge. Got everybody on the ride when we went out there. When we went downtown, everybody made their way back to the Airbnb. Nobody lost their phones, wallet, keys, nothing. None of that stuff happened. It was a very successful bachelor party.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was a good time. But we don't have to keep diving too much deeper into that. I do have one little other thing I want to go over before we do a deep dive into the Penguin. I want to talk about Arcane. Did you ever watch that first season?
I watched season 1.
You watched season 1?
I don't really remember anything in terms of plot.
It doesn't matter, like I said.
But I really liked it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, like I said, this is going to be really quick. Arcane is one of my favorite shows. I fucking love that show. I'm a big League of Legends nerd, so it helps a lot too. But even if you're a League of Legends nerd, for anybody that doesn't know, I guess we can go really broad. If you don't know what League of Legends is, it's like one of the most popular games on the planet. It's a MOBA. That's the style of it. I played it since I was probably like 16.
Bunch of heroes and characters that have
yeah.
a backstory if you want to know it, but really it's just there's a bunch of different characters.
Yeah, you're just characters that like fight on a little map. And if you want to dive into their lore and backstory and all that stuff, you can. It is very convoluted and very hard to follow, which is why vast majority of people don't know. But since it's so popular, there is a big fan base that does. They decided to make a TV show called Arcane, which is based on a few of those characters in the world that the League of Legends created. And it is fucking awesome. I never thought it would have been as good as it was. It actually ended up becoming, like I just said, one of my favorite shows. The first 3 episodes of that show are like god tier TV for me because it always puts it into perspective, a lot like with Penguin, where like you don't expect it to be this good. So you go in and you watch it and it's this good and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It basically follows these 2 characters in like the poor part of a city. And it kind of follows their story and they turn into the characters that they are in League of Legends, and it's really cool to watch. And the animation is awesome. The story is awesome. The action is so fun to watch. It's making me really realize how much I just really love animation. I think animation, action is my favorite.
What sold me on the show was the animation. I can remember.
Very unique.
I was just watching and I was like, man, this looks so cool. Like I could just keep watching and it really didn't matter what the story was. If it looks this good the whole time, I'll keep watching.
Yeah, other than like League of Legends cinematics, I can't think of another, and it doesn't even look quite like those. I can't think of another art style that looks like this show.
Yeah.
So another standout for it. And it's Netflix, which is always surprising when Netflix does one of their very rare bangers.
They have good stuff. It's just, you'll get like one a year. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And even then, it's like, this is something we already knew was going to be good. It's just coming back again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Stranger Things. When Stranger Things comes, of course, we're all going to watch it. I love Stranger Things. But
and I think it's finally supposed to end.
Yeah, and the last thing. But yeah, Netflix, when they're not shoving everything down my throat, and it's so much stuff. I'm like, I kind of stopped going on Netflix entirely in the last, I don't know, year or 2 years, unless there's something like Arcane, which is now something I'll go and watch.
Guess what else is coming on Netflix here pretty soon? I'm sure you know about it a lot and are very excited about it. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, baby.
Is that going on?
That's
Netflix?
On Friday. It's their first ever live show.
Well, so you can just straight up tune in?
I don't think it's a pay-per-view.
I'll
have to look again. I think you can just straight up tune in, which I'm confused how they're planning to make so much money from it. But either way, that's premiering on Friday on Netflix.
I didn't realize that was on Netflix. Yeah. That is big, like massive. Considering in terms of fights that like go beyond just a fight, this is easily the biggest thing that's going to happen in many years, especially given Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Having Mike Tyson in the ring, it wouldn't have mattered who's on the other end. But you gotta admit, it's pretty smart to get the most punchable dude like on planet Earth right now for everyone to just be like, yeah, I hate this guy. Lights out. Like, let's go.
Like I've always said, the Paul brothers are not idiots.
No.
They're just annoying.
Their business.
Which is why.
They make money.
Yeah.
And money.
They market.
Oh, they're so good
some
at
of the best marketers on the planet.
Jake Paul just got a fight with Mike Tyson.
That they've had to reschedule like 5 times.
It doesn't even matter.
Old man things.
It's kind of like you can't say anything. Well, you can say whatever you want bad about them, like their personality and their character. But in terms of like, you try and go get a fight secured with Mike Tyson. Nobody's done that since he retired because he hasn't wanted to. But
Roy Jones Jr., he had a fight.
Yeah.
But it's different.
The money,
It's different.
It just shows
Yeah.
the money talks, though. Like I don't even know what the money is. I've kind of like clocked
have
out
no
on
idea.
it, and I don't know a ton of details because it also just feels like there's no way this is real at the same time.
It's real, man. It's happening
It's
in
like-
2 days.
Yeah, it's real, but like the fight, the
that's what we-
celebrity
yeah.
fight stuff in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
You know how much like I'd go get my face punched in for 50 mil.
Yeah.
I'd do it. I would do it.
Yeah, I'd probably take that risk.
Dude, any risk, I honestly. Now, I will say with Mike Tyson, that's kind of the scary part is if you're or Jake Paul, if Mike Tyson's for real and he decides to come in and he hits you with one clean punch, I don't know. The dude's going to be knocked out, right?
We'll see.
I
We'll
guess
see.
that's
I don't-
where that's the intrigue enough where I'm like, it's old Tyson versus a fairly decently in shape, good, like the dude is a
Joe
fighter
Rogan
still.
says he's a good boxer.
I
wouldn't
I've
know. I
watched,
don't watch boxing.
I've
but-
watched him. Don't know anything about boxing, but I've at least watched the clips to be like, it's not like he knows nothing. It's not like he's actually not training and he's just walking in to like get a paycheck. Like he is training. He is fighting to get better.
No, he's been going hard for years.
He's
now
been
at
like,
this
that's
point.
all he's done in the last few years is fight. So I guess credit where credit's due. If anything, it's the more I talk about it, more I'm like, I guess I do have to kind of like,
I will be tuning in.
I have to tune in.
I will be tuning in.
Because the more it's gotten closer that I keep hearing about, I'm like, I am going to probably have to watch that to see it.
I'll be tuning in. The whole point of like bringing that up, though, like I didn't even get to it with Arcane, is that season 2 came out. I actually don't know. I think it came out on Saturday because I think it's saying it's releasing on Saturday. So this show's kind of interesting too.
Week by week?
No, 3 episodes at a time.
What the?
That's how they did the first season too.
Really?
Yeah, because they kind of have it split up into 3s. This show is ridiculous.
Is
with
it
their
9
cliffhangers.
episodes?
The first season was.
Also another weird number, but yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. But season 2 premiered. I watched the season finale of Penguin and all 3 episodes of Arcane last night. So I was grinding. And the show is still awesome.
Nice.
The first 3 episodes definitely aren't holding a candle to the first 3 episodes of the first season. But like I said, those are some of my first like some of my favorite first 3 episodes of television there is. Like
Yeah.
it just made me so emotional. It was so sad and like seeing the action and just learning about these characters that I already like kind of knew but didn't know backstory of just because I played the game a little bit. But it's not like a story game. I don't know all that
Yeah.
weird stuff that you kind of put together.
That's the more interesting part of Arcane was knowing like I don't play League, but even I know like games enough to like the story is not why anyone
No,
plays it.
it's not a game
literally
story- or story.
at any level. Nobody is playing League because they were like the lore was super cool. Like you played, you have to in order to play it, you got to be dedicated to the game itself.
But once you do become a League nerd, then you meet
It gets
other,
more interesting.
You meet other Uber League nerds
Yeah.
that do know the lore stuff and bring it up, and they tell you about it because I'm not diving that deep into it. Like I'm a nerd,
It
but
was
I'm not that much.
It was surprising to see like, oh, they're really going hard with like the story of these characters within the universe. It's cool. I wouldn't have known because I don't care enough, but I don't play League, and even I still like the show and was like, that's what's good about these things.
My parents like the show.
It's stuff like that, like and kind of vice versa, or like a parallel with the Penguin. You do not need to know anything about the Batman to like the Penguin. You literally can just watch it, and it is one of the best little like seasons of a show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like I love that kind of continuity. I just was listening to Matt Reeves, the guy who created this current Batman universe, and is like at the helm of it. Him talking about the Penguin after the final episode. I don't know if you watched like the HBO deep dive into the episode after.
I did not watch those because I forget because I stray away from them when I'm watching the show, but I kind of forget I should watch it when it's over.
This was the only one I did because I was like, holy,
That one's
I
different.
was just like, there was so much that happened in either way, but it was interesting to hear his perspective where he's like, I don't really like this whole, if you're making a show, and it's like within a universe, like you have to watch 10 other things in order to get it. He's like, I wanted this to be a solo. You can watch it without watching anything else, and you're going to get a start and a finish. Now, obviously, if you're watching by the end, you know it's breadcrumbs left for what the next movie is, but you don't need to even know that for it to feel satisfying.
Yeah.
Like it just feels satisfying as an ending.
And Arcane feels that way. And in the second season, just the quick snippet of it is like there's a giant cliffhanger, and like it's always weird with the animation because you think about these like. I was trying to think of like a show that or a scene that I could compare it to, but you know, like those really, really good scenes where they show something very emotional happening, like a bomb went off and you see the one like main character surviving, getting up and their ears are ringing, looking around at everything. I can only ever think of those in live action when I try to remember one in my mind. The intro of this season is that it is the end of the last season. Something happens where some explosion.
I remember
happens.
in my head the only frame I can picture is an explosion of some sort.
It picks up immediately after that explosion thing, and it is like one of the main animated characters getting up and like having that ear-ringing thing, and just seeing the animation of their face and being like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in like a live action movie, like actually watching somebody experience this horrible, because a lot of people die.
Yeah.
And you're just like, God, it's just crazy that like, because it just makes me think of like live action ones that I've experienced before. And you're just locked in right away. I'm like, okay, we're back with this show. And the action is so cool. There's so much of that like cheesy, because it's like anime action without it being anime, like animation style.
Yeah.
So like anytime like a character comes up to punch somebody, they like come in really quick and then it slows down and then you just get to, and I'm like, I'm a sucker for that. I love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the story's really good. It looks really good. Go watch Arcane. It's dope. Let's talk about the Penguin.
I'm dying here.
So
I've been dying since I watched the episode.
Okay, go
Sunday.
ahead then. Just start. What do you got? It's kind of hard to just
you're
jump off
right.
the gun, but
like obviously,
just start with your overall thoughts of the show then.
Well, yeah. So I was going to say to anyone who like actually watches what we say about this, we've already talked about virtually every episode up to this one. So now I think we can just jump into the finale. Spoilers, clearly.
What did you think about the whole show then?
Now that it's done, fucking love it. Amazing. It's one for a season of a show dedicated to a side character in the Batman universe. I could have never
like a side of a side character.
I never would have predicted how fucking much I love this show. Like I said last time I thought episode 7 was my least favorite, only because we started and ended in the same spot. Like nothing happened. That's not true. But I take that back because I think it was very crucial to show what was shown in episode 7. The way it was shown, like every time I think they're doing something, I'm like, ooh, I think they could have done that different. The next episode gives me the exact like reason as to why they showed that way. Like the date,
the show does so
the
good.
Date scene with the mom and Penguin, like the flashback. We get now a different view on that, because originally we're like
the real view.
We're like, oh, this is weird. The relationship's weird. She's like playing into it now, and it's like, ew. Well, you get the other side at the start of this episode is finding out the mom has known since day one that the Penguin killed the brothers. She was very aware of it, and she's been playing coy for her own sake and for his sake, and to both their like disservice. It's everything's bad about
both of their delusional scenarios of like where they're
It
at.
went
Like
too
the
far.
mom being forced into delusion and Oz already being delusional.
The mom made a deal with the devil, and
they
it
say
sadly is her son.
Yeah.
It's like, that's very true. She had the moment to say, we know in that little date dance scene, they're there because she's going to have the mafia dude straight off her son. It's like, what? Jesus, she's ready to just, he's like, I mean, he's bad. He literally did just kill your kids. And then she gets that little speech from him, from little kid Oz, who's like, he pumps himself up. In his mind, he's like,
Quite the speech.
in his mind, he
Oz.
thinks he's here because it's like, mom gets it. She knows I'm here for her. This is like it's a celebratory time for us to like indulge in it. And so he kind of picks up the mantle in a way she probably didn't even realize. And that moment right there is where she decides, I guess I'm gonna play dumb.
What?
I'm gonna play dumb.
What is it though? Like, did she decide, oh, let's just try to make this work for my son and or whatever? Or was it full selfish, like, give me all the money and
No.
like be successful and use him
No.
like
I
the
don't-
mafia guy said at first?
No, I don't think the mom was immediately went like, well, if that's the case, now it's for the money. I don't think she was like that. I think you can kind of take it however you want. There's a little bit of like the dementia aspect. You can, I don't know. There's so many things that aren't like set in stone. It gives some leeway where I'm like,
Oh, wait, by the way, fun fact before I forget about this, because I will, just a stupid little tidbit. The young actress of the mom is the same one that plays Samwell Tarly's wife in Game of Thrones.
is that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know, right? She
That's
looks so
wild.
much different with that accent.
I'm definitely going to. I felt like I kind of recognized her, but I would have never have said that.
But obviously so much different, with way different worlds.
Very different.
But yeah, it's a weird upper interpretation thing that I just don't.
I would say she.
I don't know for sure. I don't know.
I think she loves her son. She wants to. I think every mom wants to love their son or their child. But there comes a choice where you're like, you're being told to love quite literally the worst person you've ever seen. It sucks to suck. You birthed him. I could see the angle where you have to convince yourself, how did he learn that? Like, from you? You're his mom. Not entirely. It's kind of nature versus nurture, but that's where it's gray area. Yeah, he was around the mob people with his brother, so he knew what was kind of like going on, and he has the idea of that hierarchy already as a kid, and he plays into it. He starts really playing into it, and the mom kind of just gets dragged along, I guess, but I kind of believe she has a tie to it. Like, it's her son.
I think she's innocent at first and just being a mom trying to do her best, even though she's working at a job that's sleazy.
Yeah.
And then once the brothers die, it's like, oh, she's been thrown into she's becoming crazy too. And to see, how you say that she loves him and how that clearly escalates towards the end, not the end, but like towards the end when Sophia's torturing them.
Like
and
an amazing.
She comes out and what she says, like, God, just again with the performances in the show, man.
Yeah.
It's just, and he just fucking refuses to ever give leeway or give up or admit anything. He's just always committed to the bit, even though he's like supposed to be for the one person that he does care about. You think it's Vic, but then you realize at the end Vic even isn't
Sophia
either.
straight up says it, though. She looks at him, and she's even, like, disgusted.
She's like, you were going to do it.
She's like, you fucking sicko. You would have done it. Like, you don't care about her. You say you do. And it honestly, the aspect I love is he doesn't. The motherfucker doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't, and it's a cop-out. His mom, for Oz, she has to be alive in order for him to justify what he does. That is his cop-out in life. I did it for my mom. Look at her. She's up in the penthouse suite as a literal fucking vegetable. That's torture. The ending where it's like
horrifying.
Where it's like nice music playing and you got the penthouse, but in reality everyone who's watching should be like,
it's not a penthouse.
Ooh, this is
first of all, it's not even a penthouse.
It's just the top floor of a nasty building in the slums. But you got the top floor. Yeah, you got to look out.
So
it's crazy.
So when we talked about Sophia's episode, I'm like, that's like one of my biggest fears is like being sane and like knowing what you knowing
everyone
gaslighting
nobody, you. Every person is on the same page.
Like one of my biggest fears. Probably the worst, even bigger than that, is being a fucking vegetable and being tortured in a bed and just having to look out a window and you can't move. And the tear, I was like, oh my
God, she ends, her life is, I mean, I don't know what the continuation of the mom is, but up to the point now where she can't do anything. The last thing that happens is she tells her one and only son that she's tried her hardest to like stick her neck out in some ways and like back him up. She tells, God, that it's like a tough scene to watch. She's in his face and she's like, I hate you. I fucking hate you. It's one of those like a child. It wasn't it like as soon as everyone's aware, like he looks at her, he's like, Ma, it's just your illness. You're talking crazy.
It's like, oh my God.
And you're like, fuck, you're so stupid, dude. Even the mom's looking at him like, are you kidding me?
But he's not stupid. He got his way.
It's insane because that's where, and it comes down to Sophia's like, you sick fuck, you would have. And he's like, nah, I don't know. It's like that exact, like, well, I don't know, man. And it's like, no, everyone looks at him and is like, no, you're a sick fuck, dude. We know it. You are terrible. And what's crazy about this finale, that happens and I'm like, oh, this dude sucks. But the acting is so good and the plot lines are so believable. Sophia using them against each other to torture each other, I loved it. Like that angle of like, you're both fucked. This is the only person you care about. I'm going to put that to the ultimate test.
So I got a question for you here. Is Oz the most, is Oz the worst, you can't really call him a protagonist, but main character of a show that there is? Because you think about the other ones. You think about the Walter White. You think about, I had another
Walter White's got more humanity than Oz.
Yeah, right? By a long shot.
He does.
I'd say there was another one too that I wanted to bring up. Can you think about another main character who is just like god awful, but like he's still like the main character that you want to follow, and you're like kind of rooting for? That's the thing about this show is
like
that
everyone in Succession.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
They all suck, but you're like you have to pick a favorite.
Yeah, but just following those things, like he is. This show we even said this last episode, in the episodes before, and it somehow amped it up and ramped it up in the final episode.
Every time.
That this show is just like, oh God, it's just, this show is like, at the beginning, it's like, oh, the show's kind of fucked up. Then it's like, oh, the show's dark. Then you get to the final episode, you're like, everything is so much worse than I fucking thought it would be.
Like, I mean,
every aspect of everything that happens in the last episode is...
It's the darkest it can be. Everything was like, how do you want to, and as it should be for a finale, we've been leading up to a big moment between Sophia, the mom, and Oz. If that didn't give you a satisfying like moment, that scene in the ballroom to go back to where they had their like date moment, that was awesome. There was so much going on. There was like everything was like juicy details. We're getting like really good chops on acting between people who are like, the penguin has to act like he doesn't know, but he does know, but he's acting. Is he in his best interest to act like he likes his mom right now, or does he just go, fuck her?
Well, just even more detail to the flashback of the club scene while they're dancing, or when they end up dancing.
Yeah.
The way, like, some awesome HBO cinematography stuff, like just that it's the psychologist guy.
Oh, I loved
interrogating her, and then you see the red light going back and forth.
That was good.
And then you see them in the scene sitting on some chairs. I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool.
It's
awesome way to do a flashback.
I remember thinking the same thing when they're panning over and you see the doctor and her in the memory with them, and then the lights going, and it was like she starts like falling out. She's like, he's like, come on. He's like, stay with us. You know where you are. You're at the ballroom. You're with your son, and then she's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. And I was like, same exactly. I was like, that was such a clever and well done way to address, like, we're still in it. This is a memory. They're doing like the therapy thing. Worked so well, and like, it's artistically done so well. Yeah, HBO quality, man. Like, just off the root, like everything is at the top of its level for the show.
It's great.
Everything.
Great. Yeah.
Leading off of like the flashback, you go straight into Sophia, mom, and Oz moment. Like, you pick up, I'm pretty sure, right there. You get that finished off pretty quick. I remember there multiple times during the episode where I had to, like, I kept time stamping, and I'm like, dude, how much is left? Like, stuff is happening fast. Like,
by the way, dumb movie shit that Oz just breaks out of the chair and shoots everybody.
True.
I hate movie shit. Like, can there not be a little bit of a more realistic way to cop, especially in a show that's this great?
Yeah.
I need better reason. You can't just have him snap out of a chair and not have one of the two bodyguards with guns standing maybe more than 6 feet away to where they can just be like, boom, you broke the chair.
What?
Like, I hate that shit.
I will say I think they did at least the best they could, where the mom stabs him in her fit, her rage fit. Where
also the stabbing like doesn't really do anything to him.
Yeah,
Dudu can't walk, who is stabbed, picks up his mom who's unconscious, kills both these guys, and runs out.
I will say, with a glass bottle, if you were to just get stabbed in the abdomen once, you're not going to die immediate. You won't. But I agree, it's still kind of like
it's movie. It's Hollywood
pulling
bullshit.
hairs at times, but. I remember it's what sets him off is his mom passing out. So it at least makes sense that, like, up until that point, he hadn't really tried, or there wasn't anything that forced him to really, really, really try. It wasn't until he saw his mom laying down on the fucking ground, like dead looking, that he straight up Hulk modes, and he's like, and just busts out.
He really does.
Right then and there is the mode, like the exact moment he's like, holy fuck. He just busts out, I can't remember. Does he use someone as a body shield even?
He does.
I remember that.
The dude who comes over to shoot him, who, of course, has to get within 6 inches of him.
Yeah.
He grabs his arm. The other guy shoots him. He takes his gun, shoots him over the other guy, which, cool, but, like, I don't know. You can't nitpick with that stuff.
You're right.
It's just
I agree. But we go out from that, immediately gets out. He's in the car. He took his mom, right? He just fucking picks her up and puts her in the car and takes her to the hospital. That's where he goes. So he's going back to the hospital.
She's going to be all right.
And now we get into easily the most, it's like going to be probably the most talked about thing. But, like, to start early, Vic now gets into the episode. And Vic,
Vic, where you at?
Fuck, the arc of Vic, just from the start of this episode, is like, man, they did everything right for me. As a guy who's watching, and honestly, you do kind of know you should kind of know what's going to happen. But I was so wrapped into the story. I was so wrapped into the dynamic between Oz and Vic, where Vic's fucking there for him.
Well, hold on, pause for a second. Are you saying that you what happened with Vic you kind of expected and saw?
Like, it
not for sure, but Yeah.
Yeah, like you got to see that
Okay,
coming.
me too.
You gotta.
Matt and I were talking about this at volleyball last night. Matt was like, I had no fucking clue. I was like, dude, it's gonna happen. Like
You got to see that coming. He's the heart of the show.
Yeah.
He is the literal heart of the show.
I wouldn't have thought that if this show had kind of gone some different routes, but this show is HBO level, or sorry, not HBO, but Game of Thrones level, where everybody is expendable and everybody can die.
And they did it in spectacular fashion. They had me on the ropes until the last second of his life. Like
they did. Yeah.
I was so convinced that like I was in when Vic finally comes in the episode. Vic is all about Oz. We've got this. We've got this. Pick your head up.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. Your mom's gonna make it. Okay, we're gonna do it. Get your fucking head up. I've got actually
gives him the
people.
speech.
I've got people on my side. Even like we can do this. And Oz is like, all right, like let's do it.
It's all right. Help me up.
Yeah, he like
hospital.
you practiced that, didn't you? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, all right, let's go fucking get this shit done. And then you get this whole, like I can kind of skim through the details of what it is, but like a bunch of cool shit happening with getting the triads, like the second in command triad guy, Link.
Yeah, Link.
Having him,
Link.
Who has been, I think, used well enough in the show to show like he's always second fiddle to the older dude. Every time. He's just in the background. He wants to say something. He can't. He waits for him to crack the beer, and then he cracks his beer.
Clearly got different opinions.
And he's like, he understands the hierarchy, and he can't, like, just do that. But the whole idea of, like, let's just take all the people who have been, like, pushed to the side. Let's make them the new people. Let's make, like, a new Gotham Underground. And that's
what this whole season is.
Yeah.
It's just killing everybody
and like,
just changing everything.
Oz makes a play to be like, guess what, guys? The power's in your hands. And you get a sick montage scene of all the, like, everyone's right-hand man fucking stabbing them in this and, like smoking them.
It's like Order 66.
Straight up.
The Jedi.
It was
Execute
sick.
Order 66.
It was fucking
and they just start
sick.
icing all of them.
I was like, hell yeah. Again, Oz playing his cards right. How does he get more people on his side within there? Honestly, a lot of those old people did not like Oz, and they were already like, "Fuck this guy." Whoever's just in power will follow.
How can he's just
and
always
he figured
just recruiting more people?
He figured out a way to make it believable for those people and give them a cause, and he gave them a cause that was clearly going to work.
In this season of TV, how many different groups of people do you think Oz goes through, convinces that he's on their side, screws them over, and then goes on to the next one? It's got to be like 6 or 7 plus. From Sophia to the Dial to the Maronis to the Falcones.
Every person he's encountered, he is fucked over.
To Vic, Vic, his mom, his brothers.
Literally. It's crazy because now...
Except for maybe the girlfriend.
Honestly, though, if you ask me...
I mean, maybe she's already just fucked over with the situations he's in.
That ending... I also loved more because of how weird it was. He's paying that chick to be his mom. That's fucking weird.
We talked about it, how there's like a weird aura where weird. Like they want it. We're like, even when he's with his mom, how like there's a weird sexual thing. I'm like, what is going on?
Even
when he's a kid. By the way, that kid does a really good job.
That kid's a good kid.
Yeah.
He's weird. He's a fucking weirdo.
Good job of being. He's like, Ma, I got your food, and him cuddling up on the couch and looking out the window.
Yeah.
And you kind of think at first it's like, oh, is he like checking to see if they're like, why aren't they back yet? And then you kind of realize you're like, oh, he's checking. He's either knowing that the rain is killing them or checking to make sure they're not coming back.
Yeah,
maybe.
Either way, he knows, and that's the grosser part. Is you're like, this dude knows what he did. He locked him in there. It's just so. The mom thing is weird, and the girlfriend thing. I think it's like, I guess to each their own. The girl's getting paid to act like mommy for him, and she gets a nice life. Yeah, she doesn't really get shafted, but I have a feeling that's coming back because she outed him. There has to be a moment where there's like a revenge moment for Oz to be like, oh, and by the way, I know you sold me out to Sophia at the time. Boom.
I think there might be a little bit of them knowing that about each other and kind of where they're at.
Also true. Yeah. I can believe they're both.
The way they talk about each other, the way they talk to each other, I think they might know both like, hey, we got to do what's best for us. We're going to do this in this scenario. But when we're not, we're going to do some weird mommy lovey shit.
Yeah, some weird shit. But I mean, yeah, she's able to get away with still a decent normal life from what she had prior, like in the instance. But getting through all the Vic stuff and like Vic is the guy the whole episode. He is the reason, not to mention prior
Dude, the whole season.
prior episodes, he has saved his ass multiple times.
Yeah.
In literal life or death scenarios.
After like the first 2 episodes.
And we get all the way to the point where, honestly, I should have seen it when they're sitting at the park bench. It's just like, just the way it's framed where you're like, I got sucked so far in to the point where it's like, they did it. They fucking pulled this shit off. Like, they got Sophia. They got her arrested, sent back into Arkham. Oh, that's despicable.
We got to talk about even just the imagery of that and how they did it. Because,
dude, he gets his hands fucking scot clean with the best alibi, the hangman, who was already the alibi, but now makes a play for like city council stuff. I'm like, we are really cooking. It was
kind of annoying because I was trying to watch the last of this episode and Bone Mask comes over and they started playing music for like the last 10 episodes or 10 minutes of the episode.
Oh.
And I had to play it on subtitles. They're coming in and out. I was like, God damn it. This is a horrible time for me to watch this. But I needed to watch it beforehand and I couldn't because I was coming back from the trip and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I like didn't get as immersed in the last like probably 10 minutes where everything really comes to fruition. But I was able to see the cinematography of Sophia and just showing her face and her closing her eyes and being like, I'm ready to accept death and go into the waters and like kind of wanting it. And then the spotlight, just pops onto her and he's gone. He's gone like fucking Batman, by the way, which I don't know. Oz, all right. More you got some supernatural powers. What's going on here?
He knew what the plan was.
But what a just the most horrifying and brutal way for Sophia's story to end, except for it doesn't really, what the note that she gets, but being put back into Arkham, still having her psychiatrist guy, by the way, which I thought he quit or got fired. And now he's back. Is that a hallucination? What's going on there?
To me, I'm like, all right, I don't know how much of this bleeds into the next movie, but we're definitely getting some stuff that's like, why is he back there? Because he left.
Yeah,
he literally left her to go just with her wherever she was. So I guess if he's somehow able to get his job back like that, maybe, or if it's just this dude's got friends in the right places and understands how to get things done.
That could be possible, too, especially after being with Sophia.
He's just maybe becoming more and more of his own villain kind of thing. It's like if he is in more stuff, I don't know. Or maybe it was just a like, haha, she's back in Arkham in the same scenario.
It was such a cool shot, though, like just of how it even happened. It was awesome.
I love that they did the letter, too, that she got. Because at some point in the season, I remember being like, hold on, wasn't the whole plot point for Catwoman's character the fact that she was a daughter of Falcone? And it's like...
I didn't remember that.
I remembered that and being like, okay, so why is Sophia just the big dog now? But then it was like she's a half sibling,
and she did go away for something in the end of the show because I remember she leaves on the motorcycle from Robert Pattinson.
And it's true, like he didn't want Selena Kyle to like Falcone wouldn't have wanted her to be known as his daughter. That was like a oops, yikes, like I fucked some chicks.
Bye bye.
Like the purpose is you're not supposed to be known. That's the whole point. No one is supposed to know that you are actually my daughter. And she sent that out of her way to be like, by the way, you probably don't know me. I'm one of your blood relatives by some degree. Props. That was pretty sick. Like, just knowing, too, like, that sisterly bond of, like, yeah, we had a family that's pretty fucked up. Now, I don't know if it leads into the next movie, too.
I think it does. I'm pretty sure it does.
I would think so honestly, Sophia is such a good character. I love her as a villain. If she can make another appearance and come back again.
Apparently, so Batman 2 apparently is slated for end of 2026, which sucks.
Fuck.
There apparently is another untitled...
2 years.
Yeah, there's apparently another untitled side project within this universe, too.
Oh, boy. With how good this did, they're like, what else you got? Well,
that's what people are saying. They're
what else you got
is
now?
It Penguin Season 2 or, like, what are we doing? Where are we going with this? But I totally lost where I was going with that. But,
nice.
But it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And so to finally get to, like, easily the best part, I think, of the episode, but Vic and Oz, after all is said and done, Oz is on top. Vic just got him there, helped him out, and they both make it. And they're having a nice bonding moment in the park.
I think of you as family.
Like they hit every note to be like to the point where when Oz puts his arm around Vic, that's supposed to be a bad thing. I knew as soon as he did that. That's the bad moment.
By the way they talked.
And then, honestly, in that moment, I was bought in. I was like, dude, look at these guys. I remember in my head, I was like, this is so sick.
Arm over, I knew was bad.
I was like, oh, look at them. They're bonding. I was so pulled in. Like I couldn't. I kind of forgot about the fact that like the episode's almost over, and I was like, "This is sick." Vic and Oz on top, and the next thing you know, it's literally Oz telling him, "Yeah." Like he hits him with this. I should have known it at this too. He hits him with the. Vic tells him, "You're like family to me," and the next thing Oz says, he looks. He's like, "Fuck." Vic. That moment is like he's telling himself, fuck, I do not want to do this after you just said that, but I still fucking have to. Like,
one thing that I kind of thought was dumb about that is he's like, the whole idea is like family makes you weak. It means you have weaknesses. It means you have people you can target. I get that. That's the whole superhero aspect of anybody in the whole mask thing. That's the whole shtick. But he still has his mom. So now are we just saying that he actually doesn't give a shit? Is that the whole thing and he's just trying to torture after what she said to him?
I'll give you the reason, I think. What was the plan? What was the play that happened right before with all the other people? The second in command killed the first. Well, what's the best way to make sure that doesn't happen to you? Kill your second in command.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
That was literally what just happened.
Yeah, and the mom's obviously not a second
and
in
now,
command.
That's where I was like, oh shit, he's fucking right. That was the plan. And if Vic was smart... he wouldn't have got buddy. He would have done the same thing. And he didn't. He bought into Oz's fucked up, manipulative ways. And that's what happens. You get too close to the devil himself. What do you think will happen?
So I listened to Kind of Funny's review on this today. And they were saying like how at the beginning, you're like, how does this guy really go up against Batman? And then like his character development, I guess, or maybe more of our viewer realization of him is probably a better way to put it, is seeing where he is at the end, and his whole thing about family and not having the connections and not giving a fuck about anybody and doing whatever it takes and all that stuff will probably be his direct like superpower and what he uses against Batman to fuck up Batman.
He has no emotion.
He seems like a formidable force that would be able to go against Batman now because he has the power and he has the wherewithal to not give a flying fuck.
He does not care. Everyone can be expendable if it means he gets to be in a better position. And to watch not only and like to know when it's happening, dude, they hold on that scene way longer than
he's getting choked out for a while.
That was on purpose.
I thought maybe he'd grab the bottle,
dude.
And smack him.
That was on purpose because that is one of the most uncomfortable feelings. I have no BS about it. I was full on crying, literally, because not just like, oh, my favorite character. Like I was sad because I'm like, this dude just poured his fucking heart out for you. He's saved your life multiple times,
and that was his
and
mistake.
You're repaying him with strangling him to death. It is brutal. You get to watch that moment, he arm around him, he's just brings him in and just fucking.
It's just we built too good of a relationship.
Locks him in, just the like feet dangling on the ground. You get like different shots of like just from the head down of just Vic's body like struggling to get out, like those kind of things where I'm like, oh my god, like I'm really watching this kid who I actually thought had a chance, like he's getting smoked.
I was telling Matt about it. How this show, like you have like the Game of Thrones or you have like the Boys or whatever that are gruesome and gory, and this show almost to me because of what they do is like just more fucked up. It's this show isn't gory, it's not gruesome. You're not going to go in and see like physically some horrible shit. It's all psychological, really gnarly stuff. Which is awesome.
You don't need to be gory in order for it to be fucking crazy. Like his stomach burst open. It's like. Yeah,
it's like, no, he locked his brothers in a vault and drowned, and they lingered on a shot of them screaming while he looks out the window in the rain when he's like 12.
His mom was literally at the stake about to like, just have like just her pinky. It's not like just her pinky, but like you were willing to let your mom die virtually is the sentiment.
It doesn't matter how far they would have pushed it.
It's like just to what? What even is the end goal too? It's like, you got to be like, where does he stop?
To be on top.
He doesn't stop. He doesn't know how to stop. That's like, that'll I think be his downfall is there is no end game. He only keeps pushing because he just doesn't know what else to do. There's no sense of this is good enough, which.
What an awesome way to like really show like obviously this is connected to Batman and going in than just the pan out just a little bad signal.
Oh, I loved it. I was as they
just
were
a little
as they were panning out. I literally was like, are they gonna show it? Yeah. And I was like, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Like as sick. The only thing that you can say about Batman in the whole show, that's it. And I think it's perfect. That's exactly how it should be. It leads into the next movie with the literal shot of Penguin and his mom in like kind of like King of the Slums, King of the Underground type thing, where he's on top in the shitty area of Gotham, but then you get to see all the big bright lights of the city and just looming in the distance. We know he's there. And now I saw someone comment this, and I don't know if it's true, but it would be cool. Someone said that they, in the Batman movie, they break the bat symbol, right? They
I don't remember.
Bust it.
I honestly don't remember a lot
Even
of that movie.
if not, I saw someone
so
someone said in a comment, they're like, technically the bat symbol got taken down. Gordon said he wasn't going to use it. And the fact that the bat symbol got lit was like, that means Batman's literally lighting it himself. And I was like,
Maybe,
and they were like, in order to show that where Penguin's gotten to and what's happening, it's made enough of a ruckus that Batman himself is like, okay, what the fuck's going on?
It's either that or it's just something as simple as like, oh, a bomb went off in the middle of the city.
That too.
All of the crime lords are being killed. Shit has gone absolutely haywire, way worse than it ever has been, more than we thought it would be.
I think either way, it still works as the, like, we've had a lot just happen in like a 24-hour period. I think Batman would probably have to like step up at some point and be like, what the fuck's going on? Yeah, there's a lot of shit happening. There's like, explosion. People are just getting offed. Like whole mob families are getting offed. The Falcone family getting offed, I think, would have been a big enough thing, but either way, the Batman should not be in the show. Is kind of like, I love that they
kind of funny was saying they hope they saw him, and I was like,
no.
Well, I think like half of them were.
That's right. Like, I'm in the group of no. I think you're better. Like if you pull Robert Pattinson in just to see him, that is why he's there, just to see him. It was perfect for me to leave it on the bat symbol, just the alluding to like, hey, by the way, you know this is the Batman, right? Like he's still here. It'll come. It's gonna happen, and that's all I needed. It works out really well for it.
Where would you put this kind of on the pantheon of HBO shows?
I was thinking about this a little bit too, because I have some shows where I've watched, like True Detective, multiple seasons, but True Detective season 1 is god tier, and that's also HBO still. It's like, like that goes up there with this. The Penguin's up there now as just like, it's only one season, but it's amazing. Miniseries are almost more comparable to this.
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us having one season's amazing. I don't know if you've watched it. I've need to rewatch it, but I thought it was so good when I saw it. Chernobyl, also on HBO.
I did see Chernobyl. Chernobyl was fucking awesome.
Was really good. Like super well done.
It's hard with the HBO because it's like the pantheon of HBO is so great and so much higher than everything else. And like, also, I haven't even seen all the HBO stuff. I haven't seen all the amazing things.
Yeah, let alone like The Sopranos.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Sopranos, and so it's just like when I think of this movie, this TV series, as far as live action goes, it might be like top 10 for sure.
Yeah, I haven't watched enough shows to even know if I have 10 that I'd be like, these are the greatest. But this would go up there easily. Quality all across the board. Like characters, great. The overall plot line, great. How it looks and sounds, great. All the acting, great. Like there's not something I can fault it for. Nothing.
The surprises, the turns,
the twist,
unique,
the pacing, I think I put at the top. Like the pacing of the show is so good to me where I'm like, if you're bored watching this, sorry, I don't know. I don't know what to do to like convince you that it's not boring, but I think this shit is fucking riveting. Like it's so good. I love watching this. I also do like the whole, it's a superhero in a universe of a superhero who's technically just a normal dude, but I just never would have thought a side character from the Batman could actually have a show be good about them. And it's more surprising they did it so well on its own if you want, or in between movies if you want. Like it works both ways to its benefit. It doesn't pull away from either. And just knowing the Penguin itself, like, yeah, watching even the Batman, you're like, that Penguin character was cool. But like, I don't think anyone comes out of the Batman going like, whoa, but that Penguin guy, like, wow. Like,
you said that about, you did say that in aspect like, oh my God, that's Colin Farrell?
That's the only thing.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe that's all it took.
That you're right though. That was the different thing, was being like, holy shit, there's no way that's Colin Farrell. And then kind of just being locked in by like, fuck, this is crazy to watch him. But he didn't have a lot of screen time. And so to know that they had a story at least where they were like, we've got something. It's really good.
I was thinking about this listening to the Kind of Funny podcast or the interview they did of this. Colin Farrell as the Penguin has to go down as like one of the most disappearing into a character that there has ever been that I can think of. Because not only the prosthetics, the way he moves, the way everything, but even just his acting performance of him putting out the voice and like just embracing the character and like I don't know, it could be up there with like Joker. Like a Joker you can kind of see Heath Ledger in it a little bit. I mean, the prosthetics go a long way. Mm-hmm. And seeing Colin Farrell just look like this is like I've never seen like that is acting. That is becoming a character and changing into something else. That is it.
That like after the episode thing, and they'll like interview the actual actors, and you just see normal Colin Farrell talking, and I'm like, every time I'm just like laughing. I'm like, there's no way this dude is the main character in the show I was just watching. And he plays like the most menacing, disgusting, evil dude I've ever seen, and yet he looks like the most handsome with like a crazy like thick Irish accent or something. It's like
there's something about. I don't know, maybe it's just only these two guys. Maybe I just can't think of some others. But, like, Batman universe is bringing out the greatness of, like, I mean, it's only the two characters, I guess, just Joker and the Penguin. But, like, it matters when you think about this, of people disappearing into roles and not – one so much so that he fucking died because of it, literally. And one where, like, it's just a completely unrecognizable and in a whole different world. It's crazy to think that two of those characters, like, and I will put Penguin, here's this, because it is so insane, just – two of the most prolific characters that you've ever seen that are so much just their characters are in Batman universes, specifically two different ones.
And
why does Batman bring that out?
I think Batman's just has the most iconic villains, I think. In terms of like comic book stuff to me, as someone who's not like a comic book guy, I know Batman villains better than any other. They just whether or not it's more movies, but why are there more movies?
I bet you Joker.
People like Batman.
I bet you Joker was was the first $1 billion rated R movie, maybe half just because it was called Joker.
Yeah.
If it wasn't called Joker, because it's not a Joker movie.
They were smart. They were so smart.
Just because it's called Joker, I bet you they made it, instead of making $600 million, it was a $1.1 billion movie.
You get just enough people.
Just because it was called Joker.
Yeah. And so I think Batman has the most iconic villains that are there for people to know without needing too much backstory. But to Penguin's benefit, you have to be a really bad person in order to get people on your side. The whole, like, the mom dealing with the mob boss guy in the flashback and him saying, look, if I was to get the right guy, it's not going to be your son because your son doesn't even need a father figure. He's got you. I look for the guys who need a father figure, which is where he found, Vic. No family. Okay, go back to this also. To show how disgusting of a person Penguin is, not only is he willing to off with his own hands and strangle, and to me, one of the most inhumane and in-your-face types of way to die, literally at the hands of him, he fucking takes his wallet and he takes his money and throws his ID in the water.
I forgot about
to be like, you're a nobody. Nobody's going to know who you are. Your family, you have no family. You have nobody who can come to be like, who is this body? Nobody gets to identify you. He's tossing his ID away to literally give him, you are fucking disappearing.
God, it just gets worse.
You're gone. Not only that, I'm going to take the extra, who knows, a couple $100 you got in your wallet. Well, I need it. You don't. It's just like, after you watch the man strangle him, there's still more he can do to still step and just squish that shit down.
I don't know how they amp it up or ramp it up for like a season 2, or if it just goes into the second Batman and Batman beats him and kills him or something.
I don't know.
Because I don't know.
You have to
because it's one of those things like where I said in The Boys where like it's at the point where it's too egregious all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of getting desensitized to this. Now it's just ridiculous. The Penguin, obviously, it's only in season 1. They probably could have a whole nother season, maybe 2 of doing that. But I would prefer to just see them like maybe just bring it straight into the Batman movie and have it just escalate a little bit from there and really show where he is and how maybe more he can push the line by doing it to Batman instead of doing it to other people around in the underground.
I saw
pushing from there.
Matt Reeves was talking about how he's like, we honestly have a lot of good ideas for a lot of these side characters that we think have a good story to tell. So I'm kind of curious to know whether or not this just. I would like it if maybe this is it. The Penguin is just one season, like it's basically a mini series.
I would like that.
And then what if there's a third Batman movie, and probably is, because why stop at 2? It's going to make money.
If it's making money and you actually have plans.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. Do you have plans?
They're going to make a third, though. And to have another show, if instead of the Penguin, they're like, well, now we do Mr. Freeze. I don't know.
Ivy.
Like, I would be down if you have good stories to give me the backstory on these villains and like show them more. I'm down because you guys showed, I didn't know what I was thinking. I came into this thing like thinking the show was just going to be, I might watch this week by week if it's good enough, just because it's something to watch.
If it wasn't HBO, I wouldn't even have had that.
Yeah, literally. If it wasn't HBO, I'm not watching this show. Straight up. It's not enough. But it is. Happened to. Now I'm sitting here going, this is one of the best shows of the year. Like, take out the Penguin. That's the beauty of it. The Penguin is a great character, clearly. But he could be anyone. It could be Tony Soprano. It literally, like, there's so much of The Sopranos in this show, especially with how the season ends. Like, that is family, to a T. Like, arm over. I'm sorry, buddy. I got to do this. I have to.
Trying to convince Dylan to watch that because he fucking loves The Sopranos. Trying to convince him to watch The Penguin.
If anything, I think it's more convincing now because I'm like, look, it's just 8 episodes.
Yeah, it's not long.
I don't like sometimes when I'm like, hey, have you watched The Penguin? They're like, yeah, I watched a couple episodes. And I'm like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. You're good. Like, you don't have to. But if you still want to watch it, like, just watch it. Watch all the way through. Tell me it's not good. Come on.
Give the rundown.
Like, it's I don't see how you could just sit back and like, unless it's usually the people where I'm like, hey, have you watched The Penguin? They're like, oh, I wouldn't like that. And I'm like, okay, well, you go in with that mindset, you won't like it. And that's how a lot of TV shows and movies are like that. Everyone's got their own preferences. So there's times people have told me to watch things and I go in and I'm like, I am not going to like this. I'm going to make sure I don't like this. Like, I'm going to try to find things. It's like, just go in with an open mind.
People go in there, you do that.
I don't see how you can't come out of this being like, that was pretty damn good. Like, that was entertaining at the least.
All right. I'll wrap it up with this because I got to piss like a goddamn racehorse. But they didn't even have him put his top hat on. They had him in the tuxedo.
He had it in his hand.
Walking with it in his hand.
Had it in his
hand. They
hand.
didn't even have him put it on his head. I was like, maybe that'll be the opening shot of Batman
I think
2.
it's a
just
good,
like him doing some fucked up stuff. And then
little
putting
good
his hat
restraint.
on.
That's the kind of stuff where I'm like, it's fan service if it needs to be, but I didn't need to see that.
I was just surprised.
I was
surprised. Like you see him walk in and everything. He's in his fancy tux or whatever. He's made all the
looking
connections
good.
with the good boys. But yeah, at the end of the day, the show, it's a 10 out of 10. The show's awesome. I highly recommend it. If you haven't gone and seen The Penguin, hopefully you didn't just watch this episode if you haven't seen The Penguin. But if you did, that's fine. And if you enjoyed what we talked about and all of our how much we're praising the show and how much we like it, go watch it because it'd be cool to have more of this stuff. Make it popular. Go check it out. I'll convince maybe 2 of you to go do that. So, Cody, do you have anything to say? Finish it up?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us again. Like, subscribe, and go check out The Penguin, everybody.
Penguin.
Thanks for joining.